Welcome to the Release Show. I'm your host, Brittany. On today's show, we have Sammy B. Sammy is from South India. She moved to New York to pursue her passion in acting. She has been in multiple plays, web series, short films, and Indian commercials. She is also a writer, poet, and dancer. She just recently started her own podcast, Escape Exploring with Sammy. Let's welcome Sammy.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Brittany. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Yes. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm in progress, just as good as we can all be in this very, very crazy time.
Yes. So how is India?
It's good. I have. It's been about 8-9 months since I've been here. I came here when the lockdown started in New York. I was there for the start of the year. I was there for a couple months in this year, and then I just had to 2 days pack all my bags as much as I could carry. I was supposed to be here for a month and go back, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But life has kind of taken its course. You know, I'm trying to appreciate the things like spending time with my family. I have a little brother. Spending time with my friends here, and just kind of pressing the reset button on everything. So it's good. It's been interesting. It's been a journey.
That's great. Spending time with family is always amazing. Yeah. So let's get into your life. You are a sexual abuse survivor. You were molested by your uncle at the age of 5 years old. Do you remember anything about this incident that happened?
I didn't remember it for a long time because I had, it's amazing how the brain works and pushes down memories that are so traumatic, especially as a kid. But I was dealing with depression and anxiety and all of that, and never really understood, and some other things that I never really understood where it stemmed from. So it was through therapy, and particularly regression therapy, a lot of talking and introspection, that I was able to bring this back up and actually talk about it. So I do remember it now. I do remember as much as a 5-year-old brain could remember what happened. Yeah.
So please explain to us what happened.
So it was an uncle's house who is, in fact, the funny thing is, I thought he wasn't dead. I thought he died when I was very young. My mind had done a wonderful job of blocking that all out. I thought I never met him. And as I grew up, I've seen pictures of him and all of that. It was only after all of this and after a conversation that I found out that he just left. He up and left just around the time that I was 5 years old. So there's a high probability there was a connection there. So he's not in my life anymore, hasn't been since this incident. But what I remember is that I was at my uncle's place with he was still living with his parents. So his parents were there too. And they had stepped off. They had just stepped down to visit another relative's place, and my parents were not there, so it was just an empty house in him and me. And what started off as a game, which is I think I've spoken to a lot of survivors that have a very similar story, where it starts off as it's an innocent game, you know, there's nothing to worry about. So what started off as a game went to the usual, like, sit on my lap. Let's just try taking off your top. Let's just see all of these things that, and you don't know as a kid, how do you react to that? One thing is, I was petrified because I had no idea what was happening in that moment. I didn't know to scream and to call out, because it's the fight, flight, or freeze. I completely just froze in that. And there was there was like hands all over. There was like biting and a lot of that kind of stuff. And I was a very tender, sensitive kid. I would cry for almost everything, the smallest things. So I think when someone did open the door and come in, I was crying, but I think he heard it, and like I was back in my clothes and everything was fine, but I was crying. And I didn't know what to say or what to do because I didn't know what happened. But it was brushed off because she cries. Like she's crying all the time. So said something about, she wanted to play this game, but we didn't have this, so we couldn't play it. And so she's crying. And that was completely believable because that was something I would have cried for. So nobody thought for a second that could there be something more here.
So what did your parents do? Were you scared to tell your parents?
Well, for a long time, I didn't know. And I didn't know. I knew that when I went to it's like this apartment and there are multiple houses. So when I went to that area, I knew there was something, like I didn't like going there. Even though like he wasn't there, the rest of the family was there. And I knew I didn't like going there and spending time. What felt like a safe place to me suddenly didn't feel like it anymore at all. But I had no idea why. As soon as I found out about it, I did tell my mom. And I remember the name of this uncle of mine. I remembered his face. I remembered all of this. And then I asked my mom to show me a picture of the guy that we think it might be who did this. And it's exactly the same guy. So I am thankful for a very honest relationship that I have with my mom right now, which has happened over the years. So I was able to tell her. Telling my dad was harder than that. I didn't know how to, I knew it had to be done, but it took a long time to get there. This was yeah.
Was it your uncle on your mother's side or your dad's side?
My dad's.
Your dad's, okay. And then later on, you were molested again by a second cousin, correct? Yeah. Okay, tell us about that experience. And how old were you?
That was from 13 to 17. 4 years.
So you were molested for that long, for 4 years?
It wasn't continuous. It was once in a while. I didn't know what was happening in the first while. The other times I just thought it felt wrong, but I did go to people. I went to people I thought I could trust, right from, friends or other family, like my age family. And I was always dressed up. Boys will be boys, or, it's a part of growing up. Everybody goes through this. It's not that big of a deal. We'll get over it. So I told myself it's not that big of a deal. It was as simple as that. If you really try hard to convince yourself of a narrative, it'll work. And I did that. I did exactly that. So, but it was when I was 17 that it reached a very, I started having a panic attack during it. And I didn't know. And I think that scared him because there were other people outside in the house. This was like in the middle of the night when I was half asleep. And I think that kind of scared him. And it stopped. And I remember waking up in the morning with bruises, like right under on my chest and here. Bruises that they were light bruises, like easily I could just put a little concealer and they're gone, but they're there and they hurt a lot. And I don't know where that came from, him holding me down or what. I think it was holding me down because I remember that part. Because I feel like, why didn't I push him off? Why didn't I fight back? Why? I asked myself these questions that I would never ask someone else. but you can't in that position when you're stuck there. It's scary that he's a big guy, what could he do? And I was also terrified of, I think I put myself, this whole thing of boys will be boys and these things happen, that if anybody found out, it would still be my fault, is what I thought, which is so wrong, but that's what I thought. And I confronted him immediately the next day. When I woke up, he was gone, but I called him and I told him, why did you do this? And who are you? You have no right to do that to me. And I remember him saying that he thought I wanted it too, and he liked me and things like that. And this is like a relative of mine. So it really messed with my head and proceeded to be this giant baggage in all of the relationships I've had since then. This I struggled to tell my parents. This took me a long time. We still have fallouts about it.
Okay. A lot of times victims like to stay quiet because they don't think people will believe them or get the support that they're expecting. When did you decide to open up about the sexual abuse that happened in your life?
I think I did. I started telling people not too long after it happened, but in steps, like subtly, like this happened. And I was always brushed away. So I didn't think it was a big deal. The first time I really opened up to someone about it and like broke down and cried and said, this is what has happened with this incident, is my first proper relationship with a guy. And he was actually the one who encouraged me and helped me to go and tell my dad. Because my mom kind of knew at that point, but she didn't know how much it was. And she was telling me to, we have to move on and pick ourselves up and move on from it. But where do we go from here? I didn't get, I never told my dad about it. And it was this guy that made me really say, you have to go and tell them exactly what happened because they won't know otherwise. And I think that's when that night I came home and told my dad and my mom, like the extent of what had happened. I think they did believe me. They definitely, I was worried if they would blame it on me, is what I was worried about, which is why I didn't open up. And I was worried when it's family, it's so sticky. We're a pretty close, my close family to me, like my immediate cousins were very close, where that's my safe space, we're in a good space. When it starts getting to extended family, you never know where. There are still some great people. Most of them are wonderful people. But you never know, like that one person is enough to just ruin everything. And when it's family, it's a sticky situation of who to go and tell and who will trust you and who will not. So yeah, that's what happened.
So did you say that your dad believed you or didn't believe you? I didn't hear that clearly.
I did. No, he did believe me. He
did. Okay.
Thankfully, he did. I think he lived in denial about it for a long time. I think a part of him maybe still does as he's protecting himself, but he believed me and he was furious. Not at me. He was furious. Like in that moment, I saw this complete anger of, and he was also very upset that he wasn't there to
support you and help you
and protect me. And to this day, both my parents have always been really apologetic about it. It took a long time. Because both of these were relatives and both of these happened when parents were nearby. But they had no idea, like how would they know? I was a very shy, timid kid. So like literally, how would they know? I was actually a very extroverted child till I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
And then a switch happened and I turned into this really shy and timid kid. And people just said, oh, it's age. But it happened right around the time of my assault with the previous incident I was talking about. So it just changed me as a person completely. And yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well, no worries, no worries. A lot of times sexual abuse happens in your family. You know, it's sucking and it's sad that relatives would want to prey on little girls or little boys, but it really does happen in your family. It's happened in mine. I've even had a cousin try to touch on me. I have never said this, but yes, it's happened. So you never know. It's crazy to say that your uncle would molest you. I mean, it's crazy to think that your uncle would molest you at 5 years old, but it's kind of becoming normal. And it's crazy how normal it's becoming because we're getting numb to it. Like, okay, if it happens in the family, we have to keep quiet about it. You know, and a lot of times the victims keep quiet and they don't want to talk about it. And a lot of times they talk about it when they're like so much older. And at that point, people are like, well, why didn't you speak about it before? You know, exactly. I have a coworker who opened up to me about it, about being molested by her uncle, her father's brother, about a year or so ago. She opened up and told me about this, and she waited, you know, to tell when she's like 36 now. I think she told her parents when she was 35. So it's like, why would you wait so many years to talk about this? But they finally got the strength to talk about it, you know, and you should support them and believe them. But her father didn't believe her. He was in such denial about it. And that hurt worse because now you don't have your parents, you know, supporting you and helping you through this, because now you're trying to go through the healing process, right? Because now you've gotten it out of you, right? You've told the right people, and now you're trying to heal from it. And then now you have rejection, you have denial, your dad's in denial. So you don't know how to feel now. You know, now you're going to go back to that same place that you've been, and you're trying to get over. And I think that harms a lot of people when they try to get in relationships with other people, because they don't know, you know what I mean? They're scared, they've been through this. And a lot of times they do open up with that person that they start dating. Mm-hmm. And that person's trying to help them, but they really can't because they need to tell the right person, you know? And I think that's the problem. But I'm so happy that you are going through this healing process. And how long did it take you to get to that?
I'm still in the process, honestly. But I think I had a huge shift when I moved to New York, which was in 2017. I think getting away, completely away from from my house where it happened, which is really hard because your home's your safe space. And what used to be my room is not anymore, because every time I go back in there, I just drop into a really low space. So it was probably when I moved to New York and really got away that I could take the time to just introspect. And I have a wonderful therapist, God bless her. She has really broken through a lot of, and it took me a while. I remember I went to multiple psychiatrists and psychologists and counselors, and none of them, there was always something that didn't work, because it's so important to find the right person to talk to. And some of these sessions I came out feeling worse than I went in, which is the opposite of what. Mm-hmm. Or there was, like an availability issue or something like that. And I remember when I told my mom, she found this therapist, and I said, if this doesn't work for me, I'm giving up. Like, I'll live sad. It's fine. I accept it. And thankfully, this therapist that I got has been wonderful and really helped me break down a lot of these and talk about the really difficult stuff that I completely covered up. That and acting and art, basically. I got to express a lot of these emotions, talk about and be a lot more honest and open about who I am and myself through my acting and dance and all of that. And poetry, which is, I would say the therapy and my art have just been healing sources for me.
Yeah, a lot of times I was going to ask you that. I know you moved to New York to pursue your career in acting, and you're a dancer and a poet. So I wanted to know that that helped you get through some of the hard times in your life.
Absolutely. There are times that I cannot express to somebody else, or you right now, if I feel like talking to somebody, one of my friends, and I call them and they're not available, it's as something as simple as that would put me in a low space. But in those moments, I would always either write a poem or dance a little bit or just record myself talking, something to do with one of the things I'm in. And I think especially with acting and the kind of classes that I've gone to, there's a lot of diving into yourself and confronting the really hard things that stop you from being as good a performer. And when you do that, it's all of these things that pop up. So that is that.
Okay, so we know you're an actor and you have been in short films. Tell me about your experience with one of your favorite short films that you've been in.
So this was actually a short that it was a poetry short film that I did with, it was a project that just came from a place of like a lot of love. I wrote a poem about finding my place or my home. And my director, who's my first director, I wanted him to do it. And we got one of the other people in the theater company to 3 of us and a wonderful group that put music and everything to it. That is my favorite project I've done so far. That was shot last year, and we completed. I shot a part of it in New York with my then boyfriend, who was amazing too. So it's the people that make the project that really are all very special to me, and them all coming in and pitching into something that I think really captured my feelings and emotions at the time. And I wasn't necessarily acting. It was just trying to get in all these emotions and somehow convey it to the audience. And that was just my favorite experience, because personally for me, it was very cathartic, because a place, finding a home, finding your safe space is something I've always struggled with. And once I put that down to paper and connected it with the other forms of art that I do, it was just extremely cathartic, and I love that. It's
So
called,
you have,
yeah.
so you have your own podcast. What inspired you to start it?
So I haven't yet, the really sad part is, even though I've recorded some of the episodes and they're ready, they haven't yet been officially released.
Okay.
Some of my friends have heard it, but I'm planning to release it. My birthday is coming up soon. So I said, let's make it special and all that. I started because I love having conversations with people about things, about anything under the sun, honestly. And something that connected all of these conversations were just expressing, like what you said, like with the relief show, like people just talking to you, people just expressing what they felt and their ideas. They had something to do with art. They were an artist usually. So I just thought, why not? Like, why not use this? And there'll be a place for it to go. It was an idea that came to me more than a year back, but it was only during this time when I was stuck at home. I can't go out for work. I actually sat down, came up with a name for it, came up with a plan for it, and started recording it. Hopefully it works.
It will.
Thank
Positive
you.
mindset. It will. It will definitely work. Well, how's life now? So what are you doing, and what are some of your future goals?
Okay, so right now I am trying to live in the moment. I talk a lot about carpe diem, but it's really hard to do that. And I spent a lot of time focusing on either my past or what's gonna, like the constant, not just focusing on goals, but the constant anxiety to what am I going to do? Where's this going to go? What's going to happen? And what if this doesn't happen? That. So over the last 1 month, I've been working on just trying to be in the space and be present and just be open and available to experiences and people. And I've done a lot of confronting my own demons and all of that stuff. That's honestly been the biggest project of this year. Right now, I'm also working on a couple short films and a few ads, and I'm hoping to act in some feature films also while I'm here in India. I mean, this is where I fell in love with cinema, so it would be my dream, honestly. So that's something I've been constantly working on, trying to get these opportunities while working on like this podcast, like these projects for myself, where I talk about performing and art and creativity and stuff. My future goals, I want to be an actor. That's my biggest. My cat's like, me too. Take me in. I want to be an actor. I want to be, because I think the power of media and entertainment and cinema is just like one of the things that people haven't understood from conversations. They watch a really good movie or read a really good story, and they understand that. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to be in movies. So that is my main goal. I'm working on a poetry book because I have a lot of poems that I put together that I want to actually get into a proper manuscript and publish it. I've been very, very shy about my poetry, but I think it's time to start kind of, walking the talk, because I'm all about, let's express, let's be creative. Like, okay, why don't I do that? So that's something that's in the cards. Hopefully I'll put together a good book. And so I'm just kind of working on these. Whatever I do, I just hope it's connected to art.
Okay. Yes, art is beautiful. I love art in all shapes, form. I love painting. I don't know why I didn't become an artist. I love painting. By the way, I painted my hat.
That is so cute. I was actually going to ask you about that hat because I could see it clearly. So how did you?
I used paint and just kind of went crazy with it. And I do a lot, but I love art. But I love like the abstract art, not like these beautiful paintings of people faces or this ancient art. I love like abstract art, just like paint that you just throw on something. It just does something to me, So I love art.
I think it's amazing because that kind of art is so up to interpretation that just adds to the beauty of it.
Yes, yes. So I wish you all the best on your future endeavors and everything that you want to do for your life. Thank you so much for coming on the show to share your story. I'm so sorry for what you've gone through, but you've turned into a beautiful, strong woman despite everything that was against you when you were younger. Continue to follow your dreams and never give up on them, okay?
I really appreciate that. And thank you for doing this. It just means a lot to me that there are people that actually listen to the stories and share them with people. So, and I'm just really happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm happy that you're on the show. Please let everyone know how they can connect with you and continue to follow your journey.
So everybody, if this story was something you related to and you'd like to follow my work, you can follow me on Instagram at SamyuV08. It's right down there. And that's where you'll find my website there. You'll find everything there. So just follow me there and you'll be a part of my life.
Yay! Thank you guys for tuning in today. See you next time.